Welcome to Liesel's Artistic Studio. I just love it when daffodils finally start to pop out of the ground. They are such a bright and happy spring flower. So let's brighten our day a little by capturing some daffodil sunshine on our watercolor paper with just some simple paintbrushes and paints. Let's really quickly go over the supplies we need to make this painting happen. First, I have some watercolor paper. I like to cut mine to the size 8x10 so I can easily frame and hang it when I'm done. Then I have a pencil with a good eraser for a base drawing. I've got a number 8 round brush with a nice pointy tip, some clean water, a paper towel, which you can see I've used for a different project already, and last but not least, watercolor paints. Now, if you watched my spring wreath tutorial from last week, I'm actually going to be using those same colors here. And as you can see, I even still have some color left on my tray from last time. So if you have paint that you don't want to go to waste after today, go back and use that leftover paint to paint the wreath with. For my colors, I have Azo Yellow, Gamboge, Sap Green, Hooker's Green, and I'll also use a bit of raw sienna. For more information or details on any of these supplies, you can find it in the description of this video. Now, really quickly, I'm going to go over my base drawing for this painting today because I have a few viewers that really like to see that. You can pause the video if you need to slow it down, and you can draw along with me if drawing something you like to do, or if you don't want to draw it, I will also have available for a very limited time a free printable outline if you'd rather. But stick around for more details about that because it will be different than my last printout. Now, like I said before, I'm going to go through this pretty quick so we don't take a lot of time for this, but I'm starting here with the grassy leaves that come out of the base of the flowers first. You'll notice I have different sizes and angles for some added interest, and several of the tops are rounded off because that is very common for these leaves. Then when I start to draw the flower, I'll begin with a ruffled circle for the middle of the flower, and because this one will be shown with a side profile, I'll add a bell for the back, and then start forming triangular shaped petals all around, some of which may be more of a squished triangle. Last but not least, I'll add a curved stem that goes all the way to the ground, and I will be drawing this to look like it is behind the leaves. For the second flower, I'll start again with a ruffled circle with another smaller circle in the center of it, and because this one is going to be angled more straight on, I'll move right on to the triangular petals. Then if you want to, you can also draw a little bud off to the side. All right, now that my base drawing is ready, it's time for the fun part, painting. After I've taped this down, I'm going to freshen up some of this yellow paint on my tray by adding in some more water and Azo Yellow. Now I'm going to start painting a little bit of a light background for these flowers. I'll start by adding some water around the flowers, and then I'll add some small touches of yellow here and there, and then let it spread. I am painting mostly around the daffodil heads, but I'm not being intensely careful. If I get some of this light color there, I think it'll be okay because I plan to paint dark colors over the top. Then I'm just going to continue adding water as I move down the painting, and I'm going to throw some sap green at the bottom and maybe even a little bit of yellow here and there. And here I'm just painting this light green right over the tops of these grassy leaves because I will be painting darker over the top later. Now that my painting is all dry, I'm going to start painting the grassy leaves first here at the bottom. So I'm going to mix together a couple of different greens to use so there will be a little bit of variety with my colors. I'm going to make a yellow green by mixing some gamboge and sap green together. I'm also going to get some Hooker's Green ready to go as well. Now you can paint these leaves in a couple of different ways. You can wet down the leaf with water and then add your color in, which is the wet on wet technique, or you can just place the color right on the paper without the water first, which is the wet on dry technique. Really, either way works. You can choose whatever you're most comfortable with. I'm probably going to end up doing a little bit of both. On several of these leaves, I will be adding in more than just one color to a leaf. You'll notice as I paint, I may add in touches of hooker's green or even yellow to a leaf that's mostly been painted with the yellow-green. And then I might have some leaves that are mostly painted with hooker's green that I could leave just like that, or I could add in some yellow-green to it. Basically, I'm just trying to create a variety of colors so that each leaf can stand apart from the one next to it. All right, while we work on that, let me fill you in on how you can get a free printable outline of these flowers. But really quick, if this video has been helpful to you, please consider subscribing and or giving this video a thumbs up so that YouTube knows you're enjoying my content. Okay, now just a little while ago, I gave out a printable outline of some really pretty pink flowers that were really popular among my viewers. The best way I could figure out how to do that at the time was to send it through Facebook, but there were a few people who don't do Facebook or couldn't get it to work. So in an effort to make it easier on you and me, this time I've created a link in the description of this video. All you have to do is click on it and it will open a Google Doc. You then can download or print that document. This is a bit of an experiment to see which way works better, so hopefully this works well. Now, also as I mentioned before, this is a limited time offer where you can print this for free. It will be available 1 week from the release date of this video. So just for 1 week it is free, and then after that time is up, I will have it for sale for a small price on my new and upcoming Etsy shop, which I am working on right now. Again, click on the description of this video to find the link for this free printable outline of these daffodils. All right, back to the painting. I also want to mention that as I'm painting these leaves, I'm sort of jumping around a little bit so that the leaves have time to dry before I paint right next to it. Otherwise, if the paint is still wet when I paint next to the leaf, the color will sort of start to merge and blend together, which is okay if that's the look you're going for. But today, I'm wanting to keep them more separate and defined. Okay, my greenery is finally done, so now I'm going to start painting the flower heads, starting with this little bud. I'm going to paint it really quickly with some water first, then I'll add some azo yellow and place it right here at the base. Then I'll add some gamboge to the sides. Now just let that blend a little bit, and then we'll paint some azo yellow on the top and the sides of the bud, and then we'll put some gamboge in the center of that. Now I'm just going to blend just a little bit of green here right at the base of the bud. I feel like there's not quite enough to mention here yet, so now I'm going to use a bit of raw sienna and apply that to the base and maybe even the right side just to add some darker value. For these other flowers, let's mix a little bit of gamboge and azo yellow together for a nice, rich, light yellow color. Now I'll paint the petals of the daffodils with that color, and then I'll use just a touch of raw sienna and pure gamboge in some of the places on the petal to create the look of a shadow. This is going to help it look more 3D, but be careful not to use too much or it may turn your yellow daffodil brown. One of the best things about having an outline drawing when painting is that the hard part is already done. You can place, arrange, erase, and rearrange that pencil drawing to get it exactly the way you want it. And then all that's left is painting within those lines, one little section at a time. You know, when I was sending that last outline drawing out to people through Facebook, it was so fun because I had probably 5 or 6 people send me pictures of some of the artwork that they have created from watching my tutorials. And let me tell you, that was just the coolest thing ever. It was so neat to see their amazing pieces of artwork. It made me feel so proud of them and what they were able to accomplish. It also made me feel like creating these tutorials was worth it after all. Once in a while, I'll get negative comments from people, and that can sort of dampen my spirits, but seeing these people's outstanding artwork that I had a small part in just made my week. Okay, when those petals are dry, now let's paint the center of these daffodils and we can call this painting done. So let's start with painting this little bell shape here with some gamboge and then add some hints of shadow areas with some raw sienna. Now for the inner part of the flower, start with the azo yellow around the outer edges and then add the gamboge at the center. Then let's emphasize this darker area with some raw sienna. And if it doesn't feel quite dark enough still, you can add in just a touch of ivory black to the raw sienna. Now we'll do that same thing on this next flower, only we'll paint in a circle around the center stamen area. Then if you want to emphasize the center even more, paint the very center with a light yellow and add a touch more of that darker brown right around it. And here are your bright and happy, realistic spring daffodils. I hope you had some fun today. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please consider subscribing to my channel so I can continue to help you discover your artistic side.